The industry is filled with figures whose lives have taken unconventional paths, but few have navigated a journey as complex and multifaceted as Porsche Lynn. A trailblazer in the world of mature cinema, Lynn's career spans decades. While many know her as the girl with the million-dollar legs, a nod to the marketing stunt and insurance policy she famously took out on her limbs, her life story is one marked by perseverance, survival, and a constant reinvention of herself. Born on February 14, 1962, Porsche Lynn's early years were marred by unspeakable tragedy. Her parents were in the midst of a bitter divorce when her father, in a horrible act, killed her mother before turning on himself. Just 6 years old at the time, Lynn was thrust into the care of her dysfunctional grandmother. But when social services intervened, she was placed in foster care, moving from one home to another until her aunt adopted her when she was 7. This was no haven, however, as her aunt harbored resentment, blaming Lynn for the death of her brother, Lynn's father. Despite the emotional turmoil, Lynn found solace in nature, sports, and supportive teachers at Ovid Elsie High School in Michigan. These experiences, she later reflected, gave her the independence and survival skills that would shape her adult life. Growing up on a farm, I learned early on how to fend for myself, Lynn has said in interviews. I was very self-reliant. In 1981, Lynn was attending Michigan State University on a full scholarship when political shifts under the newly inaugurated President Reagan caused financial aid to dry up. Faced with the need to support herself and aware of her frame and looks, she turned to modeling. She enrolled in a modeling school in Michigan, where she met Angel Kelly, a future icon in the industry. Initially, they pursued mainstream modeling careers, but with gigs few and far between, both women found themselves drawn to more lucrative opportunities. Lynn soon came across an ad for a job dancing at a club in Lansing. Although unconventional, she felt safe and quickly grew to love the experience and the adoration that came with it. What began as a means to an end, Lynn was hoping to save enough to move to New York and break into mainstream modeling, soon became a launchpad into the world of mature entertainment. In the mid-1980s, Angel Kelly moved to Los Angeles, a burgeoning hub for the business. Lynn initially hesitated, but after a cold Michigan winter and missing her friend, she jumped behind the wheel of her Datsun 280ZX and drove across the country to join her. Lynn's entry into the industry was, in part, facilitated by her connections. Actor and director Bill Margold, industry agent Jim South, and Larry Flynt, legendary names in the business, were already in her orbit due to her earlier experiences working at one of Flynt's clubs in Ohio. However, her transition to films wasn't immediate. Uncomfortable with the idea of performing on film camera, she first appeared in the top magazines of the era. However, this also brought her into contact with the likes of Secker and Hypatia Lee. She admired their professional approach to the business and sought her own contract with a production company. This nearly came after a meeting with Ruben Sturman, owner of Vidco Entertainment and known as the Walt Disney of the industry. He cast Lynn in her inaugural film Innocent in 1986, which marked not only her first on-camera performance, but caught the attention of many in the industry. Furthermore, filmed in San Francisco to skirt restrictive LA County laws, it was a very professional and positive experience for Lynn. Her career quickly skyrocketed from there. The contract she decided to sign was with producer and publisher Lenny Bertman. He promised roles in Europe as well as the US, and that was what swayed it. From the start, she was treated like a star, with first-class flights and grand hotels. In every sense, she felt she had made it. Love Italian Style with a young Rocco in 1987 Grand Prix alongside John Leslie and Joey Silvera, and Girl with the Million-Dollar Legs were all filmed during her regular trips to Europe in the first years of her career. The latter was Bertman's idea as one big PR stunt. To have her legs insured with Lloyd's of London for $1 million and turn it into a marketing angle. Lynn also chose her moniker during her first trip overseas. Wanting to appeal to an international audience and being an admirer of the classy Italian sports car, she decided upon Porsche. Lynn came out of respect to Ginger and Amber, who were industry icons. Back in the USA, she was highly sought after too. She filmed prolifically, citing Bianca, Eric Boyer, and Sharon Mitchell as friends both on set and in the industry party scene. In 1988, she earned the XRCO Award for Starlet of the Year. Behind the scenes, she kept herself grounded with self-growth, healing, and therapy. Shamanism also entered her life around this time. During these heady years, Lynn also embraced the industry dancing circuit, performing in clubs like Show World in New York and appearing on the East Coast filmed Robin Bird Show. She was also a regular at the Mitchell Brothers O'Farrell Theater in San Francisco, where her name commanded top billing and top dollar. The filming continued, of course, but by the mid-90s, Lynn had begun to explore other areas of the industry. Slowly experimenting with new forms through her performances, she eventually transitioned into full-time work in the field. In 1995, she established her first establishment, a small, private facility in Los Angeles. Her films during this period began to echo this shift too. She moved into this arena in terms of the productions she was part of in the second half of her career. And then, when this wound down completely in the early 2000s, Lynn moved to Phoenix and founded Indomitus. In this, Lynn has not only achieved commercial success, but also cultivated a reputation as an advocate for exploration, freedom, and education. She even does weddings at her establishment, where Porsche will officiate the proceedings. In her downtime, she has trained in various forms of martial arts, having studied for over 20 years. A deeply spiritual individual, Lynn follows the sweet medicine Sundance path, a testament to her complex and multifaceted identity. At 62, Porsche Lynn continues to enjoy a fulfilling life, dividing her time between the den and her semi-retirement. She lives comfortably, and though her time in front of the camera has long since ended, her influence, both in the industry and in her business community, endures. Essentially, Porsche Lynn has always stood tall, on legs, worth $1 million no less.